We talked to a couple of tech experts, and actually no one's really surprised. Good morning to you, because the French have been leading in terms of innovation. They, of course, had that big IPO of Criteo. What really can the French now bring to the tech equation?
You know, there are, I think, something like 120 companies, French companies, showcasing in Vegas today. It's a big number. It's 3 times what German companies or British companies showcasing in the show are. So clearly there is a big, vibrant ecosystem of startups in France in connected devices, artificial intelligence, robotics. And it's a good thing that all these companies are there and that Emmanuel Macron is supporting them.
What message is Mr. Macron sending, do you think, both at home and abroad?
You know, I think the economic policy in France has changed 1 year ago. Emmanuel Macron at that point of time was an advisor to the president. He was a big promoter of this change, and is now minister in charge of economy, and he is basically sending a message that France is able to change, and that the initial mistakes that the government made 2 years ago are now somehow fixed, and that some mistake like the Dailymotion case or things like that have to be forgotten somehow.
Yeah, Jean-David, as an entrepreneur yourself, do you welcome the fact that Macron is now at the head, and do you think that the environment and the general landscape for startups is now significantly easier?
Yeah, that's correct. You know, 2 years ago we were facing some kind of backward-looking fiscal policy that was very dangerous and very inappropriate for tech ecosystem. This triggered the pigeon revolt, and this allowed us to explain to the government what was our role, how our ecosystem are working, and how important we could be to the economic growth of the country. And now I think things have been fully understood. And Emmanuel Macron is a young and modern man, and he has fully embraced this ambition of favoring tech startup in France and allowing the emergence of champions.
So what does he need to do now? He's listened to everybody. He's gone to Vegas. He's talked to the big superstars in the tech landscape. What does he now need to give the tech sector in France? What additional help would you ask him for?
You know, an important thing for a country like France is to attract investors. Because, you know, when you run ambitious projects, you need capital and you need international investors to back ambitious stories. I know that Emmanuel Macron is meeting tonight with my US VC colleagues. He will probably try to attract them to France and make them aware that there is a young generation of companies here that are very ambitious, very talented, and that deserve some attention by the best VCs.
Yeah, Jean-David, just give us a sense, and you know, you were talking about the mistakes that the government has made in the last couple of years. We mentioned Criteo. I mean, France has great companies, and yet there's still a very big perception, especially from international investors, that France in general is just not that friendly, not only to the world of tech, but just to foreign investment in general. How do you change a perception that may be wrong, but is still ongoing?
You know, there is a French paradox, because the country is both conservative and creative, and that's probably the best way to describe French people. But if you look at companies like Uber or Airbnb, the way they are welcome in France is not different from what is happening in other countries. You know, in Germany, in Spain, in India, or even in the US, there are some regulatory issues that these companies, for example, are somehow triggering. And the way France is managing that is really not different from what is happening elsewhere. And I think the reputation is somehow unfair. French people like innovative services. Uber and Airbnb are successful companies here, especially in Paris. And you know, again, reputation is reputation, but the reality is different.
All right, thank you so much, Jean-David, the Isai chairman and CEO, Jean-David Chamboredon there.